Hello and welcome to Trekkie and Beyond, a Star Trek podcast. I'm Monica.
And I'm Andrea. And guys, we are on episode 14 of season 1, and we have one more episode to go before the season finale. And Starfleet does what Starfleet always does: stupid decisions. So let's talk about this episode because I had such high hopes. And I'm going to break up the forum real quick. I'm going to do my initial reaction first of this episode. Why Starfleet? Why? Why do you keep making the dumb decisions? Monica, what is your initial reaction about this episode?
As in living color, hated it. Admiral Cornwell is the worst.
There's just so much to discuss in this episode, and there are moments where I really thought Starfleet was going to do the right thing or finally get like a little bit of a backbone. And the opening scene of this episode takes place right after the ending of episode 13. And we are at the transport room, and Terran Georgiou is there with Michael. And then Saru walks in. The one person I didn't want to ever see Georgiou walks in. And she basically calls him a slave, points a gun at him, and Michael has to say that, no, that's my captain. And she was like, well, last night we feasted on Kelpian. And I'm like, okay, Michael, this is why you should have told him. You should have never brought Georgiou because this is about to hit the fan. And just that scene alone, what did you think of that whole scene? What did you think Saru felt when basically it was said that Michael ate one of his brethren?
Oh, I think Saru was in complete denial. That's why he said, you lie. Like, he just came back. I'm surprised he didn't raise a hand again or point a finger, snap. But he did say you lie. And you could see in the background, or I could see in the background, Michael like lower her eyes, and Saru could tell that there's a lot more to the story that he needs to find out about. But he didn't stop. He was a much better captain now. He's learned his ways not to jump to conclusions. And I think he just said, this is a lot more. He did mention, though, now I'm thinking about it a little further, he told the person that helped to conduct the beaming too, that this was a top secret thing, and to beam Terran Georgiou to quarters to keep this hush for now, because he did. Yeah. I think he had no idea what was going on, and he needed further explanation from Michael ASAP.
And he needed a plan because she brought back someone from another planet without consulting anyone. Like, this isn't. Right. It wasn't like you brought a refugee back. It wasn't like she brought a Kelpian who was a slave back. Right. She brought the Emperor who kills people who are not human. It wasn't like she brought Bulk back. Right. She brought back like the Klingon who wants to save life. She brought back the I will say Lorca's the most evil. She brought back the second most evil person from the Terran world.
Plus someone that looked exactly like the person they most admire, Georgiou. So that, Michael, I think, could be confusing to the crew.
Michael, stop making emotional decisions. Though Michael did say that, like, the reason she did it was because she looked like her. She could not see her die again, and it was an emotional reaction. And I'm noticing more and more every single time she makes an emotional decision. I won't say every single time because I could be wrong. It seems like every single time she makes an emotional decision, it backfires in her face. And so I need her to stop doing that.
I don't think it's going to stop, though.
And so then after this scene, Michael is walking with Saru, and he tells her that Ash is better, that they were able to get a hold of Volk's memories and basically block them so Ash could regain who he was. And he tells her he wants her to see him. And she asks, and Michael does like, are you ordering me? Right. And at first I was like, I'm a girl, that's your captain. What you talking about? You just told the other one, you just told Georgiou that's your captain. And she's like, no, I need to clarify. Are you ordering me to do this, or is this a request? And he's like, it's a request. And she's like, I can't. And I was like, thank you. You need to heal, because you can't just forgive that guy. Even though he did not mean to do what he did, I know that when she sees his face, that's all she's going to remember. It wasn't Volk's hands that was around her neck. It was his hands. So what did you think? Did you think she should have saw him, or do you think she shouldn't have?
No. And let's just face it too. She was just in a major fight. Just minutes before, she was on a major fight and and with Lorca. Like so I'm sure her adrenaline was just rushing. She had just made another decision that she has to grapple with. So I'm glad that she took some time to and circle back to Ash later. Girls, it will be okay. It will be okay.
So the first half of this episode, for those as a recap, because I don't know when anyone has watched this, basically once after that scene and they're back on the bridge where Saru's sitting in the captain chair, they finally come in contact with another Starfleet ship. So they're trying to hail them, and this is the one time I was actually quite proud of Starfleet. They arrived on the Discovery, no questions. There was like kick butt first, ask questions later. They took control of that bridge within like 2 seconds. Yeah. And then they beamed in 2 other people. We see it's Admiral Cornwell, who's alive, which I did not expect that, and Sarek. And I'm happy that he is alive. And they both go straight to business. They come. Sarek comes up and he sees everything that the Discovery went through by doing the mind meld with Saru. And we hear from Cornwell and all of them that basically the Klingons, they're not united like they were going to be under T'Kuvma. I will say, for a slight second, I thought what was done to Ash was done to other Klingons, and they had like wiped out Star Trek from the inside out, because they basically said it was something that was done that they weren't. I thought it was using as an infiltration tool. So that's what I initially thought. But there's like, no, the Klingons are not united. They are just basically decimating Starfleet for the heck of it, and then like basically claiming it as wins. What did you think about that that whole scene of them basically explaining what is happening? What did you think?
I was shocked, first of all, to see Admiral Cornwell back on the bridge, back in her suit. I knew she had some medical stuff that she needed to attend to after leaving the Klingon ship episodes ago. It looks like she was definitely in power, and she wanted to go after Lorca, but she didn't see him there on the bridge. So that's why I think she asked Sarek to find out through Saru what had happened, and where they had been and what their intentions are, because I think she could have thought that Lorca could have brainwashed the rest of them. Similar to you, I was thinking, I wonder if Cornwell had this species reassignment and that she's like undercover Klingon. Like, so there's lots of theories that was running through my head there. There were some other characters that we saw also on the bridge, and I can't remember their names. A blue guy. Andorian, thank you. That was also part of the
rebellion
on the part of the rebellion. So it's interesting how these social circles in both universes like occur. So and I also saw good body language between Sarek and Michael. Like he was looking at her to try to like, I think, gesturing that there's more to the story and I would like to learn more. I can't ask right now, but there's a lot more details.
Because he probably learned through Saru that like Ash tried to kill her. So like you could see that when he was looking at her, he had like, at least I saw that. Like he had a concern in his eyes about what she went through. And he only knows it from Saru's point of view. So he's like, I need to really know what my daughter went through.
Right. And then I was thinking too, he probably also found out about Ash, right? And Ash Volk just by looking into Saru. So now he knows about his daughter's love and how that went terribly wrong.
Yeah.
So all of the business is out.
Gone. And so it's actually so interesting because they were all sitting around the table. Michael, Saru, and the other admirals, the other Starfleet captains, whatever remains of them, are all talking, and they end up saying that there's one more thing that we got to tell you about. Basically, that that they have the Terran Emperor on their ship. And I understand. I'm happy they didn't keep it from them because it would have made them look a little bit more guilty that it was her. That they kept them on there, and they need Starfleet to be on their side because they just went from one war basically to another war. And even up until this moment, I still felt like they didn't really trust the Discovery fully, even though they know what Discovery went through. It was like, we still don't know if we fully trust you because Lorca was your captain. Who's to say he didn't even though you guys left him, who's to say you didn't really still have believed in the way that he did things. So they find out that Terran Georgiou is on the ship. And I have to say, between the conversations she had, my favorite one was the one between Sarek and Georgiou, because they're basically both talking about the same person. But like he's like, you don't know my daughter. Keep her keep her name out of your mouth. And she's like, our daughters are similar because of X, Y, and Z. So
Sarek and Georgiou have a lot more in common than what it seems because they raised Michael just in two completely different universes. And so it's really cool to see them compare how they were also competitive in that. So that was pretty cool. But I was thinking, how much can we really trust Georgiou? Mm-hmm. And I think Sarek should have conducted a mind meld with Georgiou just to find out her intentions and also what she thinks about Vulcans in her universe. Because he was able to find out a little bit more about Saru and his adventures. So why not about her? He's got this special talent. Why not use it?
And so I totally agree with you. But now I wonder, like, would she have let him touch her? Because you saw how she reacted to the Kelpian, Saru. She was basically ready to blast him like, "You slave, don't talk to me." So I wonder if she would have allowed Sarek to touch her because he's more humanoid. But right. I totally agree with you. He should have done the mind meld on her. There should have been someone in the room with a gun to make sure she can't touch him and kill him, whatever. Right. But he should have. You're right. He should have done a mind meld on her to really understand what she wants out of this whole situation.
And even if she resisted, that should have informed him a little bit more about her than just trusting everything that she says, because he just takes it to the next level and they just start to run with it.
Mm-hmm. So then another thing in this episode that was sort of interesting is we see that Cornwell meets Laurel again. And last time we saw them together, basically Laurel and Cornwell, they had sort of struck up an alliance, and Laurel was like, you gotta get me out of here. I'm gonna defect to Starfleet. And we see that didn't really work out that well. So this is the first time they're coming back into contact, and it's only been a couple of, I guess, days or weeks for Laurel, but it's been over 9 months for Cornwell. And she comes to Laurel and she's like, I'm gonna lay straight. I'm gonna lay all my cards on the table. Klingons are winning, but they are just destroying everything in the process. You think that they were going to be under one house and under one nation, like your Takuvma wanted, but they're not. There's all the different houses. They're all fighting. None of them are united. They're killing innocent people. How do we stop them? When are they going to stop? And Laurel basically tells her they're not. They're never going to stop. And that was sort of like an eye-opener to Cornwell, because she realized they're not playing by the rules and Starfleet still is. The Klingons, they don't care, and Starfleet is. And I feel like when I watched that episode, I saw her eyes open and realized, oh crap, we're screwed if we keep doing this our way. What did you think about that scene of Laurel and Cornwell talking to each other?
Well, first I was thinking, why in the world did Cornwell go to Laurel? And good thing Laurel is there. And I kept thinking they seem to have a rapport. And it took me a while to remember, oh, they were like prisoners together. on the ship. I don't know why it took me so long to realize that. So they may have bonded during that time of incarceration, but I'm shocked that Laurel shared so much information, because what does she have really to gain against compared to before? And maybe she's setting them up. I don't know. I don't trust Laurel, and so she could have other motives. I'm hoping it's not a trap.
So I agree with you. I don't trust Laurel, but I think my thinking behind why she did what she did is because Laurel's goal was much like Volk's, uniting the Klingons under T'Kuvma's flag. Like that's what she wants. And Laurel's smart. I'll give her this. Sometimes I feel like I underestimate her, but she's smart. She's realizing, okay, the Klingons are winning. They're still never going to let me go. Especially when the Klingons are winning. I'm still their prisoner. But if I can tell them how to wipe out the Klingons who are basically almost torturing her, who basically threw her in jail, is like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I'm not your friend right now, but I need those people out of the way. So when I finally escape, I can unite them under my rule, or I can keep going with the plan that Volk had. So I see it as this is a means to an end. I'm telling you what you need to know about these guys, because yes, they're not fighting by any rules. Everything that they're doing is just out there, and it's random attacks whenever each one feels like it, so you can't predict it. Go ahead and wipe them out. I'll tell you how to wipe them out. But when I get out of here, I'm going to unite them. I felt like that's like what's in her mind, because her plan was always to bring Klingons under Volk's rule, because Volk was supposed to be the next person of T'Kuvma. So that's what I was thinking.
Unite all the houses together.
Yeah. And
it's just, what a coincidence. She defects and she's able to share so much information with them and the time in which they need it. Everything from like Ash to fighting this war. Yeah.
And the reasoning behind Cornwell going to Laurel is over 80,000 people were killed at the main Starfleet hub. That 247 people took out 80,000 people. Like those numbers, like I had to rewind it and listen to it again, which is like there are 247 souls, Klingon souls. I'm sorry. They took out 80,000 people. And when the admiral came in and sort of looked at the bridge and she saw Michael standing right there, I feel like she was looking at her like, we need to stop this war. And it's like, stop looking at Michael. She did not technically start this war. She did, but she didn't. It was not her fault. Anyone who would have been in that situation, who would have been the person who did the first flight to the artifact of not knowing what it was, would have been killed or be killed by that Klingon who showed up. Humbling, not in a good way, humbling scene, because you see Adam Cornwell is literally like, she lost decorum in that scene. Right. When they were like, orders, what do we do? We're being scanned. What do we do? And Saru had to step up and say, get us out of here, like warp us out, because she could not believe they lost all those souls. And what did you think? I was shocked. I was very shocked.
I was shocked at her reaction, because I thought as an admiral, you should be able to be prepared for all this and at least not show to your crew that you're distressed. Like, she seemed stunned, shocked into silence, didn't know what to do, what orders to give next. Even Saru had to help take charge there. Like, okay, what are we doing next? Where are we going from here? But I think she realized that she was stung and she went back to the captain's quarters. But like I said earlier, I don't know how she worked her way up to this position. It doesn't seem like she was ready to be admiral. She could have bad decisions on her part.
And sometimes you don't need a politician in charge. You need someone about the action. And the one time we need Lorca. Can't believe I said that. Oh, I'm sorry. He would have known what to do in this scenario. Me and Monique are a little excited to talk about this next topic because we have a lot to say. I know I have a lot to say because I've got a big mouth. So One of the other things that happened in this episode is Ash is basically told by Saru that, look, you're no longer under house arrest. I'm sorry, you're under house arrest, but we're no longer we're not going to arrest you for something that you couldn't control. You were not in your right mind. You were basically hijacked by Volk. And we learned that Ash can still see all of Volk's memories. He can see everything that Volk knew. He explains that this was basically Volk was the tester for this new procedure. So Klingons could basically hijack other species' bodies and infiltrate. And then we see Ash is walking to go get food, and he runs into Paul. And I'm very let down that Paul did not slap him, did not yell at him, did not that he did not really react the way I wanted him to react. And then we see Ash go into the cafeteria, and we see him go to get food, and everyone's all the conversations stop, and everyone stops talking, and everyone's looking at him, and he gets his food, and he sits down by himself. And then we see Tilly, and Tilly gets up, and I'm a little upset with her right now, but I am, but I'm not. She gets up and goes sits with him, and he's like, you don't have to do this. She's like, do what? You're my friend, whatever, I'm talking to you. And then we see another person get up and sit, and then another person come over and talk to him, and then everyone's like, you're back. And all I want to scream is, he literally killed someone on the ship. Paul, he killed your husband.
Right. So I understand and I appreciate the fact that Ash confessed as much of his knowledge, shared as much of his knowledge about what he remembers to Saru. However, instead of Saru giving him the house arrest thing to stay on the ship, and Ash will be monitored as he travels through the ship, Ash should have went to the brig. Because how do you know for sure that Laurel really separated him from all Klingon tendencies or whatever? How do you know he's truly back to, and even the previous doctor on the previous episode said, I'm not quite sure if he's human or Klingon or somewhere in between. We don't know. This is the first time we've ever seen anything like this. I think he should have went to the brig or a separate confinement place. Okay, we need to study you a little bit more.
Confined to
the
room.
Right.
The computer's hey, look, you don't take a single order from him whatsoever.
Right. And then I was thinking that Paul also, when he bumped into Ash, should have showed a little bit more grief and frustration with Tyler, with Ash, even if it was a punch or something, some sort of aggression. Yes.
Slap him.
Yes.
Pop him across the face. And I will say, when I first watched it, I was like, "Oh, I love Tilly because she's so nice." Then it made me remember what they did to Michael, how they treated her. And again, if you guys have never listened to a podcast, this is a hill that I would die on. That this whole war was not Michael's fault. The Klingons were going to attack no matter what. No matter what, it would not have mattered. Like I said earlier, who was the first person to come into contact with them? All she did was introduce herself, and he tried to kill her. She defended herself. The war was going to start no matter what. She was trying to end it before it did. And everyone treats her like she killed all 8,632 people. And he literally snapped someone's neck on the ship. He lied to them for months about being okay when he knew he wasn't okay, when he knew they did something to him. He didn't know what they did, but he knew he wasn't safe. He should have turned himself over. Yeah. This man put all of their lives in danger, knowingly, willingly, every day that he was on that ship. Even him being there then does not mean he's safe. And they all welcome him back. But you're going to treat Michael like she intentionally took a gun and shot each one of those people in the head?
Right. Because remember, he was the chief of security. So he knew all of the ins and outs, not only of their ship, but once they went over to the Shenzhou, he was able to navigate around. I just think that that's a real big breach.
He should have been allowed to leave the room because he can still hack something.
Right. Yeah. I think he should have worn that mustard color uniform that Michael had to wear when she was also found guilty of mutiny. I think I don't understand how Saru was the trial jury and like final decision maker for that.
Yes. And then I also didn't like that. I felt like Tyler was gaslighting Michael, and I wanted to slap the ish out of him for that, because when she finally decides to see him, he accuses her of basically wanting an excuse to leave. And I'm like, dude, regardless of the fact it was you or Volk who choked her, you lied to her. You told her that if you were not okay, you would let her know. And you lied. You lied about it into the very, very last minute. And two, it was your face, your hands, your mouth who was there when choking her to death. It was your face that she was intimate with. It was your face that she fell in love with. And it was your face and your hands that tried to literally kill her. You were going to kill her if Terran Saru did not pull you off of her. So yes, how can you not expect her? You couldn't look at Laurel in the face. You still can't look Laurel in the face. And you expect her to look you in the face and be okay and just like, I love you, let me hug you, we're back together.
Right.
When you literally was this close to killing her, I was like, how dare you gaslight her like that?
Right. I also feel as though Tilly should have at least waited 2 weeks before sitting down with, because like I feel like she broke girl code. Like you're not, that's the ex. You're not supposed to sit down at the table and look at the ex. Like your best friend's ex. You don't do that.
And it's not even just an ex who lied.
Yes.
Like who almost killed her, who put all of their lives in danger.
Right.
Like for his own selfish, I don't want to get caught. I don't want anything to be wrong. So because I don't want anything to be wrong, I'm not going to do anything. Like, no.
Right.
No.
And then within a few moments, the rest of the crew joins her at the table.
I was not happy. I was like, so like, don't gaslight her into making her try and forgive you when it was your actions, it was your body that was trying to kill her. You still can't look Laurel in the face. You can look Laurel in the face for months later. How dare you expect her to just be like, and it wasn't you, so get over it. Like, no, Ash, you were so selfish. I'm so done with you right now. I honestly am done with Ash. I was like, that it shows me you're still not worthy of her because you don't understand. You were the first guy that she loved, and you literally tried to kill her. Whether it was mentally you or not, it was your hands, your face that she saw staring down at her, choking the life out of her. So, Ash, you can go away.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yes, this ship needs a counselor, a psychiatrist.
It does. So another thing that happened is so Michael goes to Terran Georgiou and basically is like, look, we need a way to defeat the Klingons, because how did you do it? She lets the Admiral know, like, look, there's someone like in the Terran world, the Klingon world, the Klingons were basically decimated. Let's talk to the person who did it. And so this Georgiou tells her she went to Kronos and she basically destroyed it. She destroyed all of their weaponry. And that's what Michael wants to do. She wants to go to a world that, again, no one has been to in about 100 years, map it, and basically destroy all the weaponry to basically bring the Klingons to the same level that Starfleet is at right now, because the Klingons are targeting Earth. And so now all these Starfleet captains are supposed to be going to Earth and protecting them, which in my mind is stupid because you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Not that protecting Earth is bad, but it's like, if you have all of your ships there, you can't protect anyone else. And there's more ships than there's more worlds than besides Earth and Starfleet. So like, you're really, all right, tell me who's your favorite. Like, come on. And so then we see in that conversation that Sarek had with Georgiou, talking about, like, you know, which one of their Michaels is better, which one was the better parent. She also admits to him that basically neither of their Michaels could sort of handle the truth, or his Michael couldn't have handled the truth, our Michael, that basically Kronos is dust. Like, she destroyed it. And if that's how you want to end this war, you're going to have to destroy it. And it's not something that Michael would be willing to do. she's willing to destroy their facilities, but not decimate their entire world. And Georgiou's like, Sarek, you want to end this war? That's what you got to do. And the Admiral's not in a good place mentally, because you see that she is still dealing with the fact that 80,000 people just died. People were never going to get back. In my mind, I'm still like, my eggs are in the basket of go back in time. Just go back 9 months, but whatever. And then we see that engineering finally has more spores, so they can now do their spore drive again. So there's a lot happening in this episode. There's so many small things, but this is that one storyline of just realizing that they're going to have to decimate Kronos, and no one on the ship but the Admiral, Georgiou, and Sarek know that's the plan, is to decimate Kronos. Is interesting. And then this episode ends with the biggest shock of all. We see the Admiral come onto the bridge and basically is like, we are going to go to Kronos, something that hasn't done in 100 years. And she introduces the captain that's going to take them there. Captain Philippa Georgiou. And we see Terran Georgiou come out dressed like Captain Georgiou. And you see everyone on the ship is like, the bridge, they're like, oh my gosh, everyone who was on the Shinzo with her, they're all excited that she's alive. Like, we found her in a Klingon cell, and she's alive, and she's not. And only Saru and Michael on the bridge know, and then that one transport operator know. And I just have to say, you're dumb, Starfleet. You're dumb. Because everything up until the point of letting that woman out of her room was smart. Decimate Kronos. I'm sorry to all those Klingons who are going to die, but decimate Kronos. I agree with that. Destroy it so that way it brings the Klingons back home. Like, do that. But you let that chick out of the room. You lied to everyone and said that she's our Georgiou, that she's Starfleet's Georgiou, and you made her a captain of a ship. You made someone who hates all non-humans a captain in Starfleet. What are you thinking? There are non-humans on that ship. She eats Kelpians. Saru's her first officer.
She was stunned in the silence once she found out what was happening at the starbase. Cornwell is not the best person to determine these missions, but
you make someone who does not like humans above someone who is human on the ship. Above someone who's not human on the ship. She eats Kelpians.
I don't think that they know all those details, because once again, they didn't do the mind meld, and I don't even think Michael had a chance to write a report.
Saru's mind.
Right.
She said it to Saru.
Right.
She said, we ate Kelpians.
But that doesn't mean that Cornwell knows that, and the rest of the Starfleet admirals that she talked to at that debriefing room. The problem that I noticed fairly early on is that it's the earlier scene in which the admiral sat at a conference table with Michael, Saru, Paul, and someone else, Sarek. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, there's no strong leader. I know that. But really, at the table, there's no one strong enough to make this decision. There's no Lorca-like. There's no Georgiou-like to help. Or each one of these leaders at that round table making this decision has issues. And together...
Well, I'll say this. I feel like Sarek could make the hard decisions. I feel like Sarek, because he'll make logic-based decisions, not emotionally based decisions. And I feel like Starfleet, they try to say it's logical, but it's emotional. Sarek, he was the one who told Michael, you got to bomb the crap out of Vulcans. Just open fire. Not Vulcans.
The Klingons.
Open fire every time you see them. That's how you gain their respect. You kill them. So I feel like Sarek, if needed, because Georgiou was the one to tell him that's what you need to do, and he didn't back down on it. He was like, okay, this is what we need to do. I think Sarek could make the hard decisions if need be, but I don't think they just don't put him in that position because he's more of an ambassador.
Because he's not Starfleet. He doesn't wear a badge, a pendant, right?
So he's an ambassador from Vulcan.
Right. He's independent.
They need to put him in the captain's chair. and stop with this mess. Because yes, he's not Starfleet, but his son Spock is, and we know Spock later on becomes a badass. So Spock had to get it from somewhere. So just put Sarek in there, because Sarek was like, just open fire. He told Michael to do that. He told Michael, you have to open fire over and over and over again. And Starfleet's motto is, we don't fire first, which is the dumbest motto in the world. But we know when you're facing people who are trying to kill you. But the entire end scene, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts of this of this?
No, I was just thinking, here we go again. I mean, we just got rid of Lorca from the Terran Empire, and now we have a Lorca substitute in the captain's chair, and the crew doesn't know again. The crew's heart will break once they find out about this again, and how can they trust Starfleet and all these people lying to them? And
how can they trust her?
Right.
How can they trust Georgiou?
Well, also, no one noticed that she didn't beam aboard. Like when did she join?
I want to know.
Just like the resemblance is remarkable. They're just stunned to see her, and it's the captain that they lost and they dearly miss. And so remember, they had that party after the Battle of the Binary Stars to grieve. So I think it's the ghost. The ghost is back and they're connected with her. But I'm noticing some like really casualness that's not typical Starfleet. They're unzipping their uniform lapel, like they're like casual talk, and they're deviating away from standard protocols and the Prime Directive, which I felt like was drilled into us with Next Generation. Prime Directive. And here, no. Oh, you can put all these spores on the moon and let them just flourish.
It's almost as desperate times calls for desperate measures. And it reminds me of this other show. When someone has nothing to lose, that's when they make the dumbest. The people who have nothing to lose are the most dangerous people in the world, because they will do anything to get what they need or they think they need, and they don't care who it hurts because they have nothing to lose. So if you kill them, they have no one left for you to kill. They have no one left for you to worry about. And I feel like Starfleet is on the verge of nothing to lose. Admiral Cornwell is on the verge of nothing to lose, because that last hub of losing those 80,000 people, which again, maybe not putting 80,000 people in one spot was the smartest thing you could ever do, but whatever. Not like when the Klingons are winning so badly, maybe not put all your eggs in one basket. Just don't do that. She's getting to that point where she's not thinking straight. She's thinking emotionally, not logically. And logically, you do not put an emperor from another universe in charge of a Starfleet ship when that emperor has already stated she don't care about you. She doesn't care about your rules. She wants to conquer. And I feel like that's going to bite them in the butt. And I feel like Michael's going to have to kill Georgiou. And so, like, she's going to have to kill this Georgiou to protect her team. And it's going to haunt her. I'm afraid that she's going to have to kill her, and people aren't going to realize it's the wrong Georgiou. And they're going to like hate her until they realize the truth.
Yeah, they're just throwing out all rules of engagement at this point. And I don't really understand this mission too. How are they going to go inside of the minds of Quino and like put the ship? I don't understand this, so I'm looking forward to the next episode. This seems like the dumbest mission ever.
I think you should just go outside of beam outside and just start bombing, then spore drive somewhere else and bomb, spore drive somewhere else, bomb, spore drive someone else and bomb, like literally, like he did the 133 jumps, do 20 all around different sides, all around this, and just bomb the heck out of it, and then spore drive away for like a week,
right?
And then spore drive back. And just bomb, and then spore drive away. Make it, don't follow a pattern, don't follow rhyme or reason. Just jump, and just keep destroying Kronos until there's nothing there. Because that is the only thing the Klingons are going to care about. But
like we called it last episode, they should just go back in time and fix this and pull a Harry Mudd.
They need to go back
until they get it right. Just keep doing it Groundhog's Day until you get it right.
They need to go back 9 months, or even go back 8 months. Like, even go back just like 8 months before things got really bad, but you can still give everyone all of your, you can still give them how to defeat the Klingon. They should go back in time with the Admiral or with someone who knows there, like someone from 9 months now, bring them back who like to make sure you know everything that happened when it happened and then like stop it from happening, you know?
Just go back to the Battle of the Binary Stars and fire first.
Yes, they should do that. Go back to the Battle of Binary Stars and fire first. If you do that, though, the spore drive may never work. But we're not going to get into the whole concept of time travel. We're not going to do that. But of like understanding how it works. But I agree. They should go back to the Battle of Binary Stars. And honestly, they should bomb the crap out of the ship from the Discovery where no one knows the Discovery's there. And just like bomb the crap out of it and stop the war before it ever begins. And then go back and see what happens, you know? Michael never does the mutiny. Or go back and give them all the information. Be like, hey, look, you got to fire first because of X, Y, and Z. There's so many ways they can do this. Okay, people. We have talked about a lot this episode. Some answers to the main ones of how are they going to stop this? Can we trust Georgiou to defeat the Klingons? Who should have become the captain of the USS Discovery? Is Georgiou going to make it? There's so many things that we just need answers to. So let us know in the comments, tweet at us or whatever. Let us know what you think. Who should have become the captain of the USS Discovery, and should Starfleet trust Georgiou to defeat the Klingons? And I wonder, is this going to come back to bite them in the butt? Let us know. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the red subscribe button. If you are listening to us on Spotify, on Apple, or Google Podcasts, subscribe to us. Let us know what you think. Promote us. Get us out there so more people can come and enjoy the Star Trek Discovery conversation. Because we are two women who love this show, and we love to also pick it apart. So let us know in the comments what you think, what you would change. But we love talking to you guys, and we'll see you next week. So as always, live long and prosper. Bye.